we are here with a ride on an actual Harley Davidson. What in the world? I just want to try this bike out and kind of see what the hype is about with Harley Davidsons, because everybody always wants to ride a Harley, right? So I asked the gentleman at the Harley booth, put me on a Harley Davidson, an iconic Harley Davidson for somebody that's really never ridden a Harley before. I want to know what it feels like. And he said, well, you could try this, you could try that, but if I were you, I would try a Fat Boy, because these bikes are great for the twisties and just bombing around. People love them. So I said, all right, I'll try it. So it has a 114 cubic inch engine. It has, trying to remember the stats on my head, I think it's right around 700 and change for weight. MSRP is around 19 to 20,000 depending on the options, and the torque is 125 foot-pounds. They don't really publish the horsepower, similar to some of the Indian bikes I've ridden. As you can see, the tires on this bike are rather interesting. I should say tires. The wheels on this bike are rather interesting. They're solid aluminum, and we've got a single front disc as well, so nothing on the other side, and a single rear disc as well. You can see the iconic Harley V-twin situation, so that's kind of cool. There's some kind of cool styling. I love the rear wide tire, the way the fender's chopped, license plate over to the side. You know, that's pretty cool. All right, well, let's give it a shot. Some American muscle. So immediately sitting on the bike, I can feel it's got a very neutral position, feet planted firmly on the ground. It feels good. I do feel some of the heat from the bike because it is air cooled, obviously. One thing with Harleys you do have to be careful of is overheating, especially in the hot summertime. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of different things people do to prevent that, but it's not too hot out today. It's only about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, so it should be good. Let's fire this baby up, shall we? It lugs. Ready to rock. Clutch. Boy, the engines on these things vibrate. Something.
Yeah.
There we are. All right, so as far as torque goes, you can feel it very, very pronounced right off the line. This bike has no problem stepping up. The weight of the bike, though, is readily apparent. You can feel it. As soon as you get into a curve with this bike, the bike starts to try to drift. It wants to drift a little bit. And, you know, it's interesting because the weight of this bike, I'll compare it to the Indian Chief that I test drove earlier. Have another video there on my channel for it. Is relatively close. I think these bikes are in the same weight category, but this bike itself, the geometry, although it is a little flickable and it's got the wide tire on the back, when going into the corner with this bike, you can definitely feel that it wants to try to drift out of the corner a little bit. Also, immediately you can feel the vibration in the handlebars, and this bike isn't as raked as the other bike. So I'm sitting a little closer to the front handlebars. My arms are at less of a neutral position, so that's kind of interesting. There we go. A couple of nice Indians. So again, nothing really to write home about, but bike's got decent acceleration, decent off the line right there. It's not too bad. I'm feeling the full brunt of the wind in my face. Obviously there's no fairings on this bike, but the seating position kind of puts you right into the wind. I'm not sure if my microphone picks up any of it, but I'm getting blasted. And the vibration is rather interesting. I can feel it in my tailbone, and I can also feel it on the handlebars. So it looks like I got police officer up here. This is the ride route, and some of these guys are really ripping, so we'll give them a little space. Demo. So, in a lot of my videos, I always talk about it ain't about driving super fast. I like to get to the speed limit quickly. That's where the fun is, right? Alright, so the blinkers here are interesting. It's not your standard blinker switch. Oh, this bike feels like I'm turning a tank. There we go. So, the blinkers are rather interesting. There's a switch, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there's a blinker switch by each thumb. And to cancel the signal, you just double tap, you just hit it again. Or they self-cancel on their own. I think this bike reminds me a lot of the Indian Chief that I rode earlier, but I don't know, doesn't seem as refined. A lot more vibration noted in the handlebars, and like I just went over that bump right there and it kind of washed out a little bit. Yikes. It's a smooth ride, but it's definitely a different ride. A little harsher, and again, it could be set up. Now, as far as cruisability goes, I'm in fourth, so like a diesel engine, these things like to just lug right around, so we'll go nice and easy and just try to see about the cruisability. And it's there, it feels nice, but again, a little harsh on the bumps. I wish I knew more about Harleys, I could speak more intelligently, but this is really a non-Harley rider riding a Harley, kind of for the first time. Ouch. So my initial impressions are, I wonder why people like these so much. Please don't hate me too much for saying that, I'm just being brutally honest. It's a nice bike. It looks cool. It's got the wide stance. Sounds like a Harley, but I'm not sure what the attraction is. Alright, so our control levers here are pretty easy, but they're kind of flattish. Similar to the Indian again. Very, very similar. One thing I will say about the engine is the reciprocal mass on this engine. I'm not sure all of the technical specs on a Harley Davidson, but I get the general concept of the V-twin and how the Harley engines operate. When you let off the gas on this, the engine kind of carries it through. Even when you pull it on the clutch, it's not exactly quick to go down in the RPM range, so it kind of motivates a little bit. This guy right here's feeling his own, and he should be, because we're going 25 miles an hour. So, I mean, all in all, not bad. Not bad for poking around, just enjoying. The seat on this is relatively comfortable, but I will say, again, like most of these cruiser bikes, it's gonna force you to sit in one position only. So there's the flat type seats right on a bike. They're flat. You can sit on it and you can move around a little bit to ease the ache and pain after riding for a considerable distance. But these cruiser bikes, you know, where you're sitting on the bike itself is kind of where you're sitting. You can't really move around much. So I can kind of shift my weight a little bit, but it's not really going to change much. And It looks like most of the Harley Davidsons are kind of like that, and you know, that might be a deciding factor for me because I got back issues, but I'm sure with lots of people it's not. All right, this is kind of getting annoying. I may have to execute a pass.
Fatality.
But not right now. We'll get back into the back of the speedway there. I'll crack her open good.
Give us some.
We can really evaluate. What's interesting about this bike too is there's no ignition switch on the tank like some of them have. I was looking for that when I got in. So Harley has little design cues here and there that change from model to model, as most bike manufacturers do. I do like the mirror profile. It's nice, it's small, it's right off the handlebars so they don't stick up too far. It's kind of a complaint I have on other bikes. The mirrors just obtrusely stick out like radio antennas. The brakes on these aren't bad. I can feel the firmness in the lever, but I will say that they wash out kind of quick because it's only one single disc. So I'm sure if you overheated them, you're trying to stop a large amount of metal. I totally get with Harley the heritage factor, and I'm a big history buff, so you know, having a bike that's been around since the turn of the century, the last century, and you know, the incredible heritage that comes with the Milwaukee based motorcycle manufacturer. I get it. I understand why Harley does it, why folks are loyal to the brand. Yesha. Yeah. Whoa. Yikes. So that was close. Well, we got it. That's why riding attentively. She just stalled it. Ah, they're out of my way now. Excellent. All right. Now that we're off the limited roads, we can open it up a little bit. So I'm a little cautious to sling this around the corners. Again, you can feel the bike initially has a little bit of a knee-jerk feeling to it where it wants to go, but at the same time, I don't know how this would handle in the curves because it definitely tries to wash out a little bit. All right, so we're in second gear. We're on 20 miles an hour. Let's roll on full throttle. Go through the gears. Let's see how it feels. Yeah, pretty good. Not bad at all. It definitely has that strong pull through the mid-range, but the torque drops off very quickly. Again, that is conducive to the V-twin engine design. But going into the corners on this bike, I don't know, it took me quite a while to feel confident with this bike. Just due to the fact that it feels like it wants to push out to the corners. And again, suspension setup might have something to do with that. So, all right, very good. Well, we're back at the tent now. Thanks for riding with me. Again, all in all, an interesting bike to ride. I would probably say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this bike a 4. Ride safe and party on, dudes.